I was 24 years old.
Okay.
You give me Shaq. When I'm 24, 25, you give me LeBron and Bosh. I'll be sitting on 5 or 6 championships. Easy.
Social media has added another dimension to athletes. They've offered them a space to express themselves and share their opinions that a couple of decades ago didn't exist. And like any form of exposure, this has led to some players being mostly liked by fans and others being mostly disliked. And this, over time, has been one of the factors that's destroyed the legacy of one of the best players of the 2000s. Because there's no question that the media is trying to create a narrative. It's the culture of clickbait, content consumption, and hot takes that we're immersed in. How many debates have we heard in our lifetime about who's the GOAT of the NBA? Or how about whether LeBron would still be King James in the 1990s, or whether Jordan would be his Ernest in today's NBA? Television and social media keeps bombarding us with the same information with the sole purpose of helping us categorize players and follow this narrative. And that's because we, as human beings, we love to compare and make rankings. And they know it. The beginning of our story takes us to 2019, at the height of a journalistic career of the protagonist of our video that wouldn't last long.
Right. I am living a better life than that. Yeah.
It was just another debate, one in which journalists had to decide whether X was better than Y. And because of the great rivalry that existed between the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat during the late 2000s and early 2010s, it didn't take long for the which big three was better debate to come up. A rather unrealistic debate based on the fact that what the Celtics had was a big four. But, oh well, that's TV. And that debate resulted in comparing two careers that, during that era, were comparable. Dwyane Wade's and Paul Pierce's.
Who's the better NBA player?
That's easy. I can say that off the bat. That's me.
The fact that Jalen Rose gave him compelling reasons to support the Heat star in the debate, who also wasn't present, started to go viral. But Pierce, he didn't handle it very well. It certainly didn't help that during his short TV career, some of his takes went viral for being mostly ridiculous.
Is Clay a better wing shooter than you were in your prime?
I'm going to say no. I'm going Kobe at the 3. I'm going Russell at the 4. And then
You ain't even see Russell play.
Hey,
Get out
listen,
of
he,
But maybe the truth was a little too in his feelings. And that was just the starting point of a Twitter drama that ended up leaving him in a very bad place, which was also prior to the famous Instagram Live that ended up costing him his job as an ESPN reporter. But hey, Pierce sure has matured since that moment.
my skills went unappreciated because I didn't get to play with a lot of great players.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. But let's get off Twitter. In fact, let's try to look at this long-winded debate objectively and using hindsight. Everyone knows how good Dwyane Wade was. Newly elected into the Hall of Fame class of 2023 with no less than 3 NBA championships, one of which he won in his 3rd season in the league. And of course without LeBron James. Wade formed an unstoppable duo with Shaquille O'Neal that allowed him to win the 2006 ring, averaging 28.4 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 5.7 assists during the playoffs, shooting 50% from the field and 38% in three-pointers. A player who was practically a Hall of Fame player before even playing with LeBron and Bosh, and who with them ended up growing his legacy to become one of the best shooting guards in NBA history. But it seems that people have forgotten how good Paul Pierce was. The truth was a small forward with a very different skill set than Wade, more based on technique than athleticism, with a knack for just getting buckets. From 2000 to 2007, Pierce averaged 24.8 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game, being the undisputed first option of the Boston Celtics until the arrival of Kevin Garnett. And during his time as the face of the franchise, the Celtics reached the conference finals in 2002, where they lost to Jason Kidd's New Jersey Nets. Pierce was one of the best perimeter scorers in the league who started incredible duels against Kobe Bryant, and who was also a fundamental piece of the Celtics' success during the 2 finals they reached from 2008 to 2010, including the 2008 championship in which he was the finals MVP. So no, it's not so strange that in his eyes, Pierce considers that he's had the better career than Wade. The same ego that allows him to believe that hot take is the same one that made him one of the best scorers in the NBA during his prime. But while it may hurt his feelings, the reality's clear. No, Paul Pierce has not had a better career than Dwyane Wade. PP talked about how if he had shared a team with, according to him, prime Shaq or prime LeBron, he could have won many more championships as well. But the Miami Heat's version of Shaq was a far cry from his prime. Wade was the undisputed leader of a team that no one considered capable of reaching the top. And his finals MVP was a testament to that. Not only did he average 10 more points per game, but his advanced stats are infinitely superior to those of the 33-year-old Diesel. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Regarding awards, the debate doesn't even exist. Both have a Finals MVP, but Wade won, as we said, 3 championships to Paul Pierce's 1. Dwyane was also selected 2 times on the All-NBA first team to Pierce's 0, and 8 times on All-NBA teams to the Truth's 4. On the defensive side, we have a similar situation, as Wade made the All-NBA defensive team 3 times during his career while Pierce didn't even come close. And Wade also has a title for the NBA's leading scorer of the 2008-2009 season to Paul's 0. A clear superiority that also translates to career averages. Wade averaged 22 points, 4.7 rebounds and 5.4 assists, 1.5 steals and 0.8 blocks per game in the NBA, compared to 19.7 points, 5.6 rebounds and 3.5 assists, 1.3 steals and 0.6 blocks per game for Paul Pierce during his career. In fact, Wade's athleticism is so absurd that it allowed him to achieve unimaginable milestones for a guard. And even if career totals go to Pierce, Wade retired while still a quality player, averaging 15 points per game at age 37 in his final season with the Miami Heat. But the reality's clear. Paul Pierce is a player whose NBA career has been better than 97% of players in the league. He could be compared to big-name players of whichever era, but he made a mistake. He compared himself to one of those players who was in the other 3%. Wade wasn't just a global NBA icon, he was a game-changing player. His explosiveness and electric play showed millions of smaller players around the world that height was not the most important thing to dominate in the league, much like Allen Iverson in his day. One of the greatest basketball prodigies we've ever seen, and as Pat Riley said, the best player in Miami Heat history. But besides being a better player than the Truth, he's also made better decisions off the court. Dwyane's always tried to avoid debate and confrontation, and his role has been to watch from a distance. He's used silence in response to the noise of Pierce, who seems to act out at times in order to stay relevant, and the reason is very simple, and that's that he's too concerned that justice is not being done to his great legacy. A legacy that's undoubtedly been damaged by his actions off the court,
Chasing that farewell tour, they don't love you like that.
and has ended up causing an effect opposite to the one he intended to achieve. Because when you're in that group of players who have transcended time and fan memory, like Dwyane Wade, you can let basketball speak for itself.